And welcome back to the Correspondents on Voice of America. I'm Arcega in Washington. Well, it was a rare opportunity for one-party leadership in Washington that got underway this week as U.S. lawmakers returned to Capitol Hill with a Republican-controlled Congress. But right off the bat, and despite having majority control, Republican lawmakers ended up backtracking on a vote that would have eliminated ethical checks and balances on what lawmakers can or cannot do. VOA's Katherine Gypson explains.
Controversy on the first day of Congress. Republicans and Democrats sparring as they hold what are usually routine leadership elections. The flashpoint? Republicans proposing changes in House rules limiting an independent watchdog office's ability to investigate lawmakers' ethical breaches. The closed-door late-night vote sparked outrage among Senate Democrats.
This has been an independent entity to sort of screen complaints to see which ones might have merit. Getting rid of that is a violation of the public trust. Well, obviously it's helping increase the size of the swamp and giving the swamp even more power.
And on her first day on Capitol Hill, freshman Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy saying the changes would scrap accountability for her and her colleagues.
I don't think that that's really the tone that we should be setting out on in this 115th Congress.
President-elect Donald Trump, who campaigned on the popular line about D.C. corruption, drain the swamp, tweeted the timing wasn't right. Just as the pomp and circumstance of swearing in leadership and new members got underway, Republicans backed down.
And for more on this story and what the Republicans in Congress, who will also have the backing of the White House after January 20th, may be hoping to do in 2017, once again, I'm joined by VOA political correspondent Katherine Gypson, who filed that report, and our White House correspondent Cindy Saine. I thank you both for sticking around and doing double duty here. Sure. Katherine, good story, by the way. I was listening to this and I was thinking, how tone deaf is that? I mean, to sort of set that as sort of their first legislative agenda. Is this a sign of some kind of overconfidence among GOP leaders that they would push something like this without actually consulting with anyone?
Well, Neil, it was a fascinating day because the first day back for a new Congress is always supposed to be this, happy, easy day where all of the freshman members are sworn in. And of course, with a Republican-controlled Congress, it's a great day for the party. And then they made this strange move the night before in a closed-door meeting to pass these new rules. And by all accounts, Speaker Ryan and Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy were warning members off from this, saying the optics of it are just not right. And they turned out to be right in the end because the blow-up of public opinion online and all around was just completely against this. How can they do this? There's no transparency in government if we have these rules that are taking these protections away.
But it does, Sydney, make Donald Trump look good because he was the one who said, oh, this can't happen, right? He was the one who actually tweeted and said this is wrong.
Well, he actually said that, of course, there are problems with this ethics committee, but is this the first thing? Is this the most important thing?
As fair as it is.
He's getting a lot of credit, well-deserved or not.
Right.
But for his tweet, and many people are wondering, are his tweets going to set the tone and the agenda on Capitol Hill from now on?
How does this make Paul Ryan look as Speaker of the House here? I mean, he has both houses of Congress to back him. He is also going to have the White House fairly soon. Is there any danger here of overreach in terms of achieving the kinds of things, the goals that the Republicans want to achieve?
Well, I think there is, Mel, but of course it's far too early to tell now. We have to see what happens, and I think that with Trump coming into office, they may have they may be passing bills left and right, probably first taking on Obamacare, the president's health care insurance bill first of all, and they may also try for a major infrastructure program, which President-elect Trump has advocated, saying that a lot of our country's airports and bridges and everything's our third world, and that they really do need some, and that might be something that Democrats would also support. So it's going to be fascinating
and Republicans
to watch.
might be worried about paying for. So that'll be very interesting to see.
So, Katherine, what about Donald Trump's signature proposal to build the wall? What do we know about that now?
Well, we've just learned some very interesting new things about how he's working with the House GOP on that issue. He's saying that Congress or rather the American taxpayer will pay for that border wall.
That is a complete 180 from what he's been
That's
telling
right,
his
but of course he
supporters.
also tweeted after that news came out and said that it was actually just a way of temporarily funding that border wall until he can get Mexico to pay for it. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. The Mexican president said that still wouldn't be happening.
I don't know if I had to sign a contract like that you pay for it now, but then eventually you'll be reimbursed. I don't know.
That's a big IOU to the American people.
That is a huge IOU, because some of the estimates I've seen range anywhere from $24 billion to nearly $50 billion, right, to build this wall.
Right, but again, then in Trump's tweet, he played off this idea that's very popular with his followers, is that the dishonest media had presented the issue this way. So if his supporters, his voters, feel like this is just a matter of time, Mexico will eventually pay for it, it's the media who's driving this issue, then it might not be a problem for
Let's
him.
talk about the dishonest media, Cindy Saine. What kind of a challenge does that pose for reporters who cover the White House and politics in general to actually come across with factual information that is not going to be denigrated by someone at the highest office?
Yeah, one of the things, me being at the White House every day, that we're all a bit concerned about is access to the new president. And of course, him being president-elect, at first he wasn't used to having a motorcade follow him every step. If he went out to dinner in New York, Manhattan, having motorcade, and there were times when he left without, and then the press was very upset. But we are used to here having the daily on-camera briefings. We're used to knowing the whereabouts in case the president could fall ill or something could happen to him, he could be attacked. We're used to having him followed, so it's very important.
I hate to end this conversation as quickly as I have, but we're obviously out of time. We haven't even talked about SCOTUS, LGBT rights, abortion rights, all of those things, and I'm sure you too will be covering that for us very closely. My thanks to Katherine and Cindy. That is our show this week, but we'll be back again next week for another edition of The Correspondents. Meantime, get the latest news from around the world at voanews.com. You can also check this and other shows there. Just click on the Programs tab on the upper right. We are also on Facebook and YouTube at VOA The Correspondents. I'm Arcega. For now, so long from Washington. Thank you so much, ladies.